Today we are at Lady Grove Lake in Didcot, and we are here with the rats. Pretty mad amount of rats, and they're not that scared of you. Look. Pretty crazy. I got here about 40 minutes ago. There's no one here, and they're quite friendly. So it's run by a club, it's owned by the council, and I did do this about 4 years ago and wrote them a list of jobs to do, which unfortunately haven't really been done because probably of council restrictions. But it's a pretty lake. It's got some lovely weeping willows, and there is some plant life and vegetation. There's sort of an antiquated aeration system which doesn't really work over by the island, and but yeah, it struggled. They lost quite a lot of fish a few years ago. The water quality is not great. It's like a lot of these park lakes, really. It just needs a bit of work, and it's the sort of place that an angling trust grant is really going to pay dividends and really help the club. I did tell them last time that this all this wire which goes all the way around the bank, which people tend to put in to try and stop erosion, just to get rid of that and either replace it with coir rolls. There is vegetation around the lake, but basically these sort of lakes, public park lakes, you know, they get plundered by all sorts of anglers, and which is great. It's popular, there's plenty of fish, but you need to make it as clean and tidy as possible to avoid the rats for one, and for safety of fishing for another, when people fall in and bits and pieces like that. So our options here, there's quite a lot of fish in this middle section here. That's why we try and get on site earlier. 40 minutes ago they were topping like mad. There was no one around, just it was getting light. So basically 200 meters we're going to shoot and take out all this open water out and around, leave that again using the fine mesh nets, leave that in situ, and then go and set up for electrofishing, electrofish all the little back channels and stuff, because they'll be full of tackle and sticks and bits and pieces, and then show off what we're catching there. It's basically a stock check to assess what's going on and how to improve it, and then obviously the net acts as a barrier as well, so we can electrofish up to it. And then when we've done that, then we can pull this net into here, which is a bit tricky because of all this wire everywhere. Like I say, personally, this could do with coming out and then these shored up with more plants or coir rolls. That would tidy it up, and a chalk application as well. All the rotten leaf for years, it's crying out for a chalk application. But hopefully they'll get a government grant for that now from the Angling Trust, and they'll be able to carry out some useful work and see how we get on. Because it's just needs a bit of help, really. But these park lakes are all the same in the majority. They're because the public have got access. That's one of the reasons why the rats are so bad, simply because you know, on one hand the public is saying, oh, there's lots of rats around, and then the next minute they're feeding the ducks in the margins with bread and all sorts of stuff. And it's just nature of these lakes, really. But they are very popular because, you know, I love them because it gives access to fishing to people who live right next to it. And it's not an ugly lake, it just needs a bit of work. But the longer you leave lakes like this, leave them, just rotting leaf all the time, every year, and a lot of stuff gets chucked in. But like I say, there should be plenty of fish still. But like I say, we can shoot 200 meters coming in here all the way, take out all this open water, and then we'll electrofish these back channels. But I'm sure there's loads of fish, and the water level fluctuates a bit as well, but he said they didn't lose too many this summer, which is good. And the wildfowl as well, they do quite a lot of damage to the banks, and it's when people feed them, really. Like, people come along, walk the dogs, they think they're doing good, and they'll just chuck food down here, and then the ducks and the geese all come out and crap everywhere. You know, you could, if you didn't have an electrofishing kit, you know, we've done it in the past, you can try and net these little back channels, but there is so much debris in there, and there's funny angles to pull little nets around. That's what I'd do if I didn't have electrofishing kit, but it's ideal. We can just come in here and cover a lot of water. It's very shallow in there, so yeah, I'm sure we'll find quite a lot of carp. It's predominantly carp in here. There's a lot of silvers topping, which is quite encouraging, really, after a fish kill. But that's normally what happens, you know. If you have a fish kill, which happens, you know, it does happen, and it's partly a lot of the time it's partly due to negligence on the people who are running the fisheries behalf, but nowadays a lot of it is they haven't got the funding to do what's necessary to prevent these things without help, and then you're in the lap of the gods with the environment, really. So you've got obviously ever-changing weather and algal blooms cause an awful lot of problems, and if you're not on the ball, if you don't understand the basics and don't move forward with a plan, then you can really come unstuck. And that happens a lot, and in here it's crying out for chalk application, a better aeration system, because that one's not even working at the moment. Big grand old box. That's how I remembered the lake when I got here. I was like, oh yeah, I've done this before, because of that big thing over there. But the chairman's got the right idea. I agree with him. I think you should get rid of that and put the solar, clear that island and put the solar, because there's no electric, so put the solar panels on the island, just level that island and have that as your sort of unit for your aerators, and then just run a one splash aerator, but stick it right in the middle, and have one powerful one, and just level that island so all those panels can stay on there, a better inverter unit and all that sort of stuff, and just run one big one out here. That'll help. Can't there. And then also chalk application. I'd be putting a ton a year in here. People would argue and say, well, it's 2 acres, you put 2 ton a year. Yeah, you can, but in lakes like this, I just think if you put a ton a year in every year, that'll really help. There's a small lake at the back which has been sort of left to be a nature reserve now, and they want us to put some of the small fish, if we catch too many, into that lake, which is okay, but the water quality in there is not going to be that great. I'm going to check it all in a minute for ammonia and bits and pieces. Even though it's cooling down, the water temperature is still about 13 degrees, so it's worth doing. If it was freezing cold, I'm not saying it's a waste of time checking the water quality, but it becomes a little bit of false, because cold is good. That's why we do this in the cold. It's the colder it gets, the less water quality is going to be detrimental to the fish, because they can just handle a lot more fluctuations, and the water quality in general will be better in the winter, because as it gets colder, there's less activity, less movement, less demand for oxygen as well. So all those things play a part in these little lakes, but the club are great. They've got the right mentality moving forward, but when it's owned by a council, you need the support of the council, and they need funding as well, because it doesn't make a huge amount of money, but this is a sort of place where an angling trust grant will go a long way. So we'll get these nets on board and keep washing our hands and avoid the rats, of which there are many. Not even scared, look. Loads of them. Rats everywhere. Just keep sanitising the old hands today, boys. Just check the dissolved oxygen in here. Bearing in mind the water temperature is still 13 degrees, and this is only the first couple of days of any change of weather since the summer. And it's only just barely above 3 milligrams per litre, which isn't great. But when you look at the pond, it's to be expected, really, because there's no vegetation around the outside apart from a minimal bit over the other side. It's just trees and roots, and very shallow, and just donkey's years of rotting leaf going in. Like I say to people, a lake like this acts like a bucket of crap, and everything falls into it, and that's exactly what's happening on here. So whilst the club wants to put a load of fish in here, they'll probably survive the winter, because the oxygen shouldn't go down much more, because as the temperature decreases, the oxygen will normally increase. But that said, you could put them in here without doing any of this, and you go, oh, they'll probably survive the winter, but they're probably going to perish in the summer. So I'll check it in the lake behind me now, the one we're going to do, and sort of compare, really, but they might be better off left in the lake. Like I said, very difficult on a public lake. But again, the signs are always there. There's no actual plants in the lake. There's no work been done, as in water quality enhancements or improvements, which can all be done. I think last time I was here, I wrote a report saying, go around, clear all the trees. There's so many rats. And at least do some crown lifting or pollarding if people are precious about actually removing the trees, and then either install coir rolls or plants or anything, really, just to get some sort of biological filtration helping the water. But it's very, very, very silty. It's just years and years and years and years and years. I mean, back in the day, if the council had some money, they'd be well worth dredging it. It could be beautiful. It could be really, really pretty lake, but at the moment it's just getting so overgrown and so clogged up with crap that it's not really going to be very useful. But I'll check it in here as well. Look at all these, look. So many. There's a lot of wire everywhere as well. But like I say, none of this is the club's fault. The club do what they can. They are basically governed by the council who own it. So it's I keep seeing on my feed on social media that lake that they're closing for fishing to make into a biodiversity hub of whatever. I think we all know that's going to end up like that one back there, because at least if there's an active angling club or people who understand not fishing really but nature, then they respect it and they understand that if you're looking after the fishing, you're also looking after everything else as well. So to just blindly for the council, and I know what it's like on a public park lake, we work at dozens of them, and there's mess, there's litter, there's idiots jumping in when they're drunk, and there's all sorts of crap goes on. But ultimately, if there's no one policing it, it gets worse. If you look at the wharf in Cardiff, they've done a hell of a job there. It used to be horrendous with litter and crime and stuff, and now because it's a known big fish water and there's people actively policing it, they care about it, so they're keeping the riffraff off and they're doing a lot of work to help improve the fishing. Sort of Jack Russell trying to eat the rats. So many rats. And that could happen here, you know, and it can happen at all these lakes if the, again, I'll go back to the Earl of Harrington, they're great at that. Oh, it's loads better in here. See, in that tiny pond there, it's 3 milligrams per litre. In here, it's 7 and nearly 8. So the fish are better off in here, even if there's quite a lot. But they did suffer a fish kill a few years ago, so what will be in here probably is quite a lot of big fish and loads of tinies as well. So we'll have a look, catch some fish, and see how we get on. So we just had to navigate around this over-engineered monstrosity. I know, I mean, it's useful solar panels, but yeah, this should be on the island. You can update that quite considerably. Just make it, they're a lot more efficient now, a lot of these aeration units, the solar ones. We've seen some really good ones actually. But yeah, hopefully we'll catch some more in the net. But yeah, it's all going to be improving around here. It's all going to keep progressing now. Some work needs doing to make things better, as we've discussed, but it's got the potential. There's plenty of fish, don't need any more fish. Potentially you could introduce another species, but for now it's just a case of managing what they've got and looking after what they've got. So it's a case of doing that, and then once it's a bit better and the water quality is more stable for a summer, then you could potentially put different species of fish in. But for now it's just a case of get the basics sorted. But it's good because whenever you get a club and there's a good turnout, you think, well, there's, you know, people care about it, so it's all good. The rest is easy. So we set up the old faithful old electrofishing kit and my amazing generator, and we're going to buzz. It's very, very shallow in here, and we could run a net in here, but I've made a lot of disturbance. The majority of the fish this morning were all in this area here, so I've taken out that, and we're just going to buzz and catch a few of the carp, see what they look like behind the island. It's very shallow, so we should catch a few. Yeah, but in fairness, it stands to reason, because if you said you had a fish kill and lost quite a lot of fish, unfortunately that's created a lot of space, yeah, which means these have had more food and space available to them. Yeah. So they've basically filled into that.
And they've grown on.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of fish. They're under the undercut banks. Even these small ones, they're actually in good condition. You know?
We're catching a hell of a lot of them.
Yeah.
There is a lot of them.
But this is what you want.
And they're the ones I said to you about going in there, because you said don't.
No, they're better off in here.
Yeah.
If you can sort of manipulate the water quality in here for the benefit like we discussed, they're better off in here. Yeah. And there's loads of these come through. And again, this is a result of the fish kill, because it's unfortunately it's created a lot more space for the fish.
I've seen that one. That one I've never seen.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a good amount of carp in here.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place. They're under the margins, they're in the undercuts. But it's good, it's what you need, you know, on lakes like this, you want a lot of fish. Yeah. And you see these are in good condition too, and I do believe it's a result of, if you lose a 500-600 pound weight of fish, it should only really be 2 to 3 years old. It might be a touch older, but it might not be. Because if you had a fish kill 3 or 4 years ago and you lost 500-600 pound or more than that, that's created a big hole, which has then been filled in, and the condition of these would have improved because of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's a shame that they had a fish kill, but now your job now is just to make sure it doesn't happen again by managing the stock. There's loads of them.
Yeah,
They're
but
really
you
good.
said, didn't you, last time when they put them from there into there?
Yeah.
You did say
Yeah.
it's not a very good thing to do.
Yeah.
There's another pond somewhere.
Yeah.
Stick them in it.
Yeah, I did.
And,
Yeah.
and when you said that,
You remember everything, yeah.
Yeah,
We should
when
let you make decisions.
There's tons of them roach and blood
you
in
had the
here.
fish
There is.
kill.
Yeah, I know. And there's a lot of recruitment. So at the moment, it's really good. You know, it's just a case of now looking after what's there.
Yeah.
Because they're really good fish, and the mouths are good on them as well. So because the mouths are perfect, I do believe that these have grown on from tiny since the fish kill.
Yeah.
So boys are just starting to pull the net in now. Stacks of carp. Like I just said, clearly that massive vacuum that's created by nature, which unfortunately resulted in a fish kill, has meant that the fish have improved. The remaining fish have bred and improved in condition for now. But obviously, if you leave it, the problem just happens again. Now, another thing to point out: when these lakes are notoriously, the water level's getting lower, everyone's struggling for water. It's either that or the water's overflowing when we have floods. When the bank's like this and you've got all this root around the margins, in the summertime, when the algae's bad and you want the plants to be doing you some good, quite often the water level's so low that it's not doing anything. Because there's absolutely, like now, look, there's absolutely zero benefit going on regarding plant life because there's not much in the water. Now, as much as I detest Norfolk Reed, at least when that's in the water, it sort of encroaches to the point where some of it's in the water. But there is answers. You know, you can when the water's low in the summer, appreciate the fact that it's probably going to go up in the winter, but use that time to go round. Then you could even come out on the islands, and you know it's a bit of graft, but you could smash the margins up enough so that you can get some decent plants in there. Done it loads of times myself. It is hard work on islands if you can't get a machine in, but it's worth it because at the moment, if you look at these islands, all there is root, and root and leaves aren't doing anything positive for the water quality. So my argument is always the same: get in, rough up the banks. You need to get in there with spades and stuff, and just smash it all up, only to make it pliable enough to plant. I mean, these are the trees worth saving. Everyone loves weeping willows, me included. You know, you want to save that and nurture it and look after it. But the margins, when it's just like this, and it's been like this all summer, without the aerator on and you know, without that fish kill a few years ago, they'd have been losing fish this summer. It's very, very shallow. Now, I love shallow clay lakes because it's easy to grow fish in. A bit of stack up here as well now. But these are all things which a lot of people shy away from moving around the boat. But it's important work. See, all this is nothing. There's no benefits to water quality here. Lots of fish up here. Yeah, look. Loads. It's great. Lots and lots of carp. And a traffic cone, which stands to reason. We're in a public park lake. So yeah, here we are. So yeah, but these are things I think are really important. And get grants, get angling trust grants, get the council to pay for it because it's benefiting everyone. And the more green this is, and the more lush this is, and the more vegetation, because at the moment there's nothing. The club have got some tree work done, which is great. And the rats are quite bad. But, you know, it doesn't help when everyone feeds the ducks all in the margins all the time. And that's just never going to change because the public think they're doing the ducks a service. But yeah, all this is all root. And people don't tend to notice. In the winter time, you can see where the water line is. It's all up. And people go, oh, it's all nice and stuff. And at the start of the spring, the water level's probably still higher. But in the summer, when the water quality is declining and it ends up like this, and you've just got banks with nothing on, and it's just bare margins, apart from this lovely bit here, look. It's all you want is that. You just want that all around the lake. And if it's like that everywhere, there's a good old amount of iris in there, and yeah, there's some Norfolk Reed as well. But anything's better than nothing. But that is joyful. And if that was all around the lake, this wouldn't have half the problems it's got. Years ago, they put this mesh all the way around. I don't know if many years ago, it looks like they were gabion baskets originally, but they've either not been done properly or that it's just a bodge. But that's the only bit around the whole lake. There's bits and pieces here and there, but majority of the bank is just bare, especially around that side. So look, where there is plants, there's no bank erosion, as always. But if we remove all this and get all this out, get it all out, it's not doing anything, and then use plants, because plants will help with erosion and they're a damn sight lot better than having metal everywhere, especially on a public park environment where, you know, there's kids running around, there's dogs everywhere. It's yeah, it's all worthwhile because it's a busy, popular lake with loads of fishing, so it's all worthwhile. See what we can catch in this net anyway. The other joy of Park Lakes is finding so much tackle. Obviously you need 3 and 4 ounce leads in a pond this big, and £20 line, but it's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. I say most anglers are really respectful. We get a bad rap as fishermen, but most, like these guys here, they're, you know, they're here to look after the lake and they care about the lake, and there's always idiots that don't. But it's important to have clubs on these communal lakes, because if it's just left to all and sundry, nothing ever gets done. But you, like I say, you do need the support of the council in situations like this, because we've seen the benefits of that when the council work with an angling club and give them the support. Magical things can happen, so it's all good. And yeah, there's plenty of fish there. There's a few big roach as well, a few big perch. Yeah, they're all right. Nice fish. Yeah, this is what happens. Yeah. Really like... But this is like they said, right? They haven't stopped fishing for years. No. And this is why, because when there's a normal nucleus of carp, and this is what happens, these just come through. Yeah. That's why, you know, I always detest when people wang on about this, that, and the other strain wise. These are just nice little carp, and you could do anything you want with them. If you hand pick 50 of these out of here and put them in an empty, they grow as quick as anyone. Massive, yeah. They always do. We prove that time and time again. You know, it's not about where they're from; it's about what you do with them. That's it. Water quality in the other lake was adequate. We could put a few in there, but it isn't. I've tested the oxygen this morning and it's horrendous in there. It's just a mucky hole.
That's going to be a project.
That would be great, because at the moment what you could do is if the water quality was fine in there, because a lot of people just go and put them in there, and if we did that and walked away, I can guarantee you by the spring that all the fish we put in will start to die. Because the water quality is quite bad in there now, so it might be okay over the winter because it will get colder, but come the spring it will just get worse. So it's just, they're actually better off in here. The oxygen in here at the moment is high, and these fish are in really good condition. There's a nice pulley there. Yeah, that's really, yeah. Yeah, mate, yeah. Show some off. Show them to me. It really is. Yeah, just anything big, hold up and show me. There's a really nice lot of fish in there. They're so lively because the water temperature is still 13 degrees. So if you watch our videos when the water temperature is cold, when we say, oh, the water's like 1, 2, 3 degrees and freezing and there's ice around it, the fish hardly move, which is when we love them. These are like, some of these are just mint condition. Really nice, stacks of them.
Yeah, who's put him in there?
There's loads of good fish. Nice. There's loads of fish coming through. Like I say, because there was space created, the carp are bred really well, and they're obviously dominant species. There is roach, there is rudd, there is all sorts. But now the job is to keep hold of these, maintain, improve. And you can tell why it's popular fishing. The fishing will be easy on here with these fish. It's a real pretty glassy, that one. Seen in the light. Yeah. We like these because they've got very little colour pigmentation, so you can almost see through the scales. Really pretty fish. Brilliant.
That's the ones I like. Yeah, swirly mirror. Yeah.
Underneath all the carp, you've got all these lovely roach and rudd. It's a really good stock of fish at the moment. Really is nice.
Some of them bigger roach we've caught on a feeder.
Oh, lovely, yeah. There's a lot there. The big ones will be underneath, to be fair. Just slowly let them go. Have a dive in the yarn, see if you can find 1 or 2 big ones like that. They're lovely.
Yeah.
How much is it to fish?
£10 a day on a day ticket.
Nice. And anyone can come and fish?
Yeah. as long as they buy a day ticket.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Otherwise you get
It is limited
Kicked
to
off.
5.
yeah,
There's
5 day
five a
tickets
day.
a day. And how much is there any spaces on the club?
No, you have to put
Waiting
in
list?
the OX11 postcode,
Yeah.
and it's £36 a year.
Oh wow.
Cheap as chips.
Yeah.
2 packs of fags.
Literally, yeah.
2 packets of fags or a year's fishing on here.
Yeah. That's what it equates to now, doesn't it? I don't suppose
Mugs going. It's a nice one. Lovely fishes. Really nice. Lovely to see. Awesome. And basically, that's worked really, really well with having electrofished all the snaggy bits, netted all the open water. I say we never catch them all doing this, but we've caught a decent stack of fish to show people, and that's what's really important in these public lakes, to be able to show people what's in there, so then they go away thinking, oh okay, on the days when the fishing's hard, they don't think, oh there's no fish in there, they kind of have a bit more of an understanding about what's going on. It makes our job a lot easier, because then when you say to them, don't put any more fish in, that's for a reason. This doesn't need any more fish. You could argue, yes, you could introduce bream and bits and pieces like that. The chance of the cormorants would know them, you could introduce £100 a bigger bream. But this suffered an oxygen crash a few years ago. You don't want to go back and have that happen again. So that needs updating. That needs work to be working properly. And like I keep saying, you know, I would chalk this lake. There's lakes. Every lake is different, and sometimes you say, oh yeah, just chalk everything, do all the trees, do all it. Yeah, it is that to a degree, but you've got to know when to do it and how much and all this sort of thing. It's like everything we discussed today. It's not about putting more fish in the lake, but it's about generating more bites and keeping the fish active and healthy. And hopefully we can come back in the spring when we've finished all this netting, and we can get rid of all this daft metal and replace it with coral rolls, take all the plants, get all this metal out of the water. None of it needs to be there. None of it's doing any good. Get it all out. It's a public park, for God's sake. It's kids using the lake, and you want to encourage juniors, you want to encourage kids fishing, and make it as safe as possible for kids, and just get rid of all this gubbins and just tidy it all up. And if we can help towards that, great. Move that onto there, lovely, because the fish stock is fantastic. And it's nice that the club have got so many people helping out now. And it's a pretty lake, and it's, like I say, because of where it is, you want it to be a functional thing for the community, you know, for everyone to use. So it's day 2 done. As you can see from the footage there, the result of that, it created a massive volume of space which the fish have reacted in, as they do, and they've filled into that space with a lot of good carp recruitment, and there's loads of nice rudd and roach in there as well. Loads of carp, you know, lakes like that, they're busy and popular for a reason, because there's lots of fish in them. And the chairman now is, they're all singing from the same page, they've all got the right attitude, and they all know what's going on and what needs to happen to improve it, really. So hopefully you'll see a lot of improvements at that lake in the next year or two. We left at the right time, it's just started to rain. But yeah, it's really good. As you can see, there's loads of fish in there, and they're in good condition. The mouths are good, and there's a nice lot of people on the club now who want to do the right thing moving forward. So we've suggested a few things they can do to improve everything, and hopefully it'll all work out for the best.